Chosen one, listen carefully. The air around you is shifting, and heaven itself leans in to watch what happens next. You may not have realized it yet, but something sacred has been spoken over your life. A divine decree has just been released. God said your spiritual authority has increased. The realm of the unseen has recognized your promotion before you even opened your eyes this morning. Every battle you fought, every tear you cried, every moment you wondered if heaven had forgotten you, all of it has been counted. And now heaven answers with a new level of command. You are not ordinary. You have never been. You were not born to blend in. You were set apart for a moment like this. While others are still chasing recognition, God has chosen to elevate your spirit in secret, and now the evidence of that elevation begins to manifest. The angels around you adjust their ranks. The same voice that spoke the stars into being now declares your name with new authority. You are being entrusted with spiritual weight, the kind that shifts atmospheres, breaks chains, and speaks peace into chaos. This isn't imagination, it's divine confirmation. You've been feeling it, the sense that your prayers now carry greater power, that your words cut deeper into the unseen, that your presence commands stillness in rooms once filled with confusion. It's because heaven has recognized your faithfulness in the hidden places. The tears you cried in silence have been translated into authority. Every silent yes to God when no one was watching became a stone in the foundation of your promotion. You may wonder, why me? Because you endured. Because you did not quit when heaven seemed silent. Because your heart stayed pure while others fell into compromise. God's anointing does not increase by accident, it increases through surrender. And you, chosen one, have surrendered in ways heaven honors. Now, pay attention. Pay. When God increases your authority, He also expands your responsibility. This is not the time to retreat or to hide your light. This is the moment to stand, to walk with confidence, to decree heaven's will boldly. You carry the power to intercede for nations, to speak healing into broken hearts, to call forth destiny out of despair. You are no longer begging for breakthrough, you are the breakthrough. Can you feel it? The pressure you've been under was never meant to destroy you, it was meant to refine you. Fire doesn't come to punish gold, it comes to reveal its value. And now the radiance of your spirit glows brighter because of what you've survived. Every time you felt overlooked, heaven was positioning you. Every delay was divine preparation. You are entering a season where even your enemies will recognize that God's hand is upon you. So, rise, straighten your shoulders, speak differently. Walk as one who knows they have been commissioned by the Most High. You are not waiting for permission. You have already been authorized. The throne of heaven has acknowledged your maturity and entrusted you with influence beyond human reach. Do not waste it by shrinking back in false humility. Authority unused is authority lost. You will begin to notice divine synchronicities, conversations aligning with your prayers, doors opening without explanation, and people being drawn to the peace that surrounds you. This is not coincidence, it is evidence. Heaven is confirming your promotion through signs that follow belief. Where there was resistance, there will now be release. Where there was confusion, there will now be clarity. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Luke, chapter 10, verse 19, "Behold, I have given you authority to trample on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy. Nothing shall harm you." That word is your confirmation. It is not only permission, it is a declaration of empowerment. You walk under divine covering. Your authority is not self-made, it is heaven-ordained. The battles that once terrified you will now bow to the authority that flows from your spirit. So now, chosen one, step into the fullness of what has been given to you. Speak like one who has seen the throne. Pray like one who knows the ear of God bends toward your voice. Move through this world with reverence, not fear, with holy boldness, not arrogance. For this is the era of divine demonstration. If this message resonates in your spirit, if you feel the confirmation burning in your chest, then honor what heaven is doing in you right now, like this message. Share it with another chosen one. Leave your comment below and subscribe so you do not miss the next divine transmission. Your spiritual authority has increased. Act like it. Speak like it. Live like it. Comment the number 707 below as a prophetic Act 7 for divine completion. Triple for divine perfection, declaring, I receive this increase. You feel it now, the warmth that cannot be explained. The inner flame that seems to rise from the depths of your spirit. Chosen one, heaven has marked you by fire. This is not the kind of fire that destroys, it is the kind that purifies. The kind that separates gold from dust, truth from imitation. It is the evidence that God has placed His seal upon you. When others look at you, they may not understand what has changed, but the spiritual world knows. There is a glow upon you, a divine energy that carries weight. This holy fire is not gentle, it burns away everything that cannot remain in your next season. The same fire that fell on the prophets, that consumed Elijah's altar, that lit the tongues of the disciples in the upper room, now burns within your spirit. It refines your thoughts, aligns your emotions, and awakens your discernment. You may have noticed certain things no longer satisfy you. Certain people no longer fit the rhythm of your spirit. Certain words no longer come easily from your mouth. That is the sign the fire is doing its work. Do not fear the burning, for it is the mark of transformation. Every chosen vessel must endure this purification. Fire has a voice, and it speaks louder than words. It declares to heaven and earth that you belong to God. The enemy once had access to certain corners of your heart, but this new flame consumes those hidden shadows. It leaves no room for compromise, no corner for deceit, no comfort for fear. The presence of divine fire means your spirit is being recalibrated. You are shifting from being a receiver to being a carrier. Once you came to God asking for warmth, but now you carry the warmth wherever you go. People will begin to sense peace around you even when you say nothing. Rooms will quiet when you enter, not because of who you are, but because of the presence that walks in with you. The fire is evidence that heaven has invested something in you that cannot be easily extinguished. When the fire marks a soul, it also illuminates its path. You may not yet see the full map of what lies ahead, but the light will always reveal the next step. Do not rush the process. Do not try to force doors open before their appointed time. The fire teaches patience because true authority cannot be given to the impatient. It is forged in stillness, not in striving. This marking is also protection. The same fire that purifies you also surrounds you. Just as a wall of fire encamped around Elisha when the enemy army surrounded him, that same protection now surrounds your life. Every demonic plot formed against you will meet the flame and dissolve. You are no longer vulnerable to the same attacks that once weakened you. Heaven has reinforced your spirit with divine heat. Understand, this fire always demands fuel. The more you surrender, the brighter it burns. Feed the flame with worship, with silence, with obedience. Every time you choose love over anger, forgiveness over pride, prayer over distraction, you are feeding the fire. And as it grows, so does your authority. Sometimes you will feel the intensity of it pressing against your chest, especially in moments of spiritual sensitivity. Do not mistake that pressure for anxiety. It is the presence of God expanding within you. The fire will teach you how to carry power without arrogance, influence without pride, visibility without vanity. This is why many are called, but few are chosen. Not everyone is willing to endure the fire. You are chosen one. That is why you were chosen. You accepted what others ran from. You allowed yourself to be emptied so heaven could fill you. Now you are not merely a vessel, you are an altar. And everywhere you go becomes holy ground because you carry the flame of the living God. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 29. For our God is a consuming fire. This fire is not symbolic. It is the living evidence of divine ownership. It is the signature of God upon your life. Those who once doubted your calling will soon recognize the undeniable light that radiates from your obedience. You will not have to prove yourself, the presence will do that for you. And when you find yourself standing in situations that seem cold, where hope feels distant and faith feels faint, remember that you are marked. You are not waiting for fire to fall, it already burns within you. The world may try to dim it, but what heaven ignites cannot be extinguished. So, carry it boldly. Let your words be embers of truth, your actions sparks of mercy, your presence a reminder that God still sets hearts ablaze. Wherever you walk, may the fire spread, consuming darkness, healing wounds, awakening souls. This is your mark, your divine confirmation that you are chosen, refined, and unstoppable. Chosen one, can you feel the air trembling? Heaven whispers, and earth listens. Something unseen begins to stir around you. The wind shifts, not a natural one, but the kind that moves through dimensions. The realm of the Spirit recognizes your new level of authority, and creation itself responds. The voice of heaven has declared your promotion, and the sound wave of that decree ripples through every unseen layer of reality. When heaven whispers, the earth must tremble. This is not poetic, it is law. You are not the same soul you were yesterday. The frequency of your spirit has changed. You have stepped into a vibration that carries the sound of heaven's language, and everything around you begins to adjust. Angels, who once observed you in silence, now move with precision around your life. They are assigned to enforce the word that God has spoken concerning you. You are entering a season where what you say will carry impact far beyond your understanding. Words that leave your mouth will echo into eternity. You will pray simple prayers that move mountains. Speak gentle phrases that awaken sleeping hearts, and release declarations that dismantle demonic blueprints. The whisper of heaven is now amplified through you. You are not an echo of the world. You are a voice of the throne. Understand this truth: the earth does not tremble because of noise, it trembles because of authority. There are people who shout and change nothing, and there are those who speak softly and cause kingdoms to shift. You, chosen one, are in the second category. Your spiritual authority no longer depends on volume, it depends on alignment. The more you walk in obedience, the more your whisper becomes thunder in the unseen realm. You will begin to notice subtle changes in your environment. Things that once resisted you will now yield. Situations that were immovable will suddenly bend in your favor. This is not coincidence, it is divine response. Heaven always moves when a chosen one comes into agreement with divine timing. You are walking in sync with eternity. The same spirit that hovered over the waters in Genesis now hovers over your life, preparing to bring form out of the formless. Sometimes this whisper will come in moments of stillness. You'll feel an unexplainable pull to pause, to breathe, to listen. That's heaven speaking. The instruction might be small: call someone, release forgiveness, sow a seed of kindness. But when you obey, the atmosphere shifts. You are learning that obedience in the small opens doors to miracles in the great. But be mindful, chosen one. The tremble is not only a sign of power, it's also a test of humility. As your influence grows, the temptation to claim ownership of God's glory will rise. Remember, the whisper that empowers you is not yours to control. It is God's to release. You are a vessel, not a source. The more you yield, the greater the flow. The moment you resist, the sound fades. Stay surrendered, and the whisper will become your greatest weapon. The world around you is sensitive to the authority you now carry. You may notice people drawn to you without knowing why. They will feel peace in your presence because heaven radiates through you. Even those bound by darkness will sense conviction when you enter the room. The tremble they feel is not fear, it is the awareness of divine order. You are a living reminder that God still rules. We are reminded through the writings of David in Psalm chapter 103, verse 20, "Bless the Lord, you his angels, mighty in strength, who perform his word, obeying the voice of his word." That scripture unveils your reality. When you speak in alignment with heaven, angels move. They perform what your spirit decrees under divine instruction. This is why you must guard your words. Your speech has become a command center. Idle talk can build confusion, but faith-filled words can build worlds. You are learning to speak with purpose, not emotion, to declare with revelation, not reaction. When you open your mouth, heaven's whisper passes through you into creation. Every declaration becomes a seed. Some seeds take time, others sprout immediately, but none will return void. You will see answers unfold suddenly, as if the universe itself was waiting for your voice to give permission. The trembling of earth is heaven's applause, acknowledging that one of God's chosen is walking in full authority. Remember this: chosen one, thunder may impress, but it is lightning that strikes. Let your life be that lightning, brief in noise but powerful in impact. Walk softly, speak wisely, burn brightly. Heaven's whisper moves through you now. Comment, "I hear you," because when you write it, you're not speaking to me, you're responding to heaven. It's your act of agreement, your acknowledgement that the whisper has reached you. It tells the universe that you are aligned, alert, and awake to divine command. Every "I hear you" becomes a prophetic signal that says, "I'm listening. Lord, I'm ready to obey." The hidden season is lifting. Chosen one, the shadows that once covered your brilliance are receding, and what was formed in secrecy is now being revealed in glory. For a long time, heaven trained you where no one could see behind closed doors, in silent battles, in prayers whispered through tears. You wondered if your efforts were noticed, if your faithfulness mattered. Heaven says yes, it all mattered. Every unseen act of obedience became a seed of authority. Every unnoticed sacrifice built a foundation for this moment of unveiling. You were not being ignored. You were being incubated. The hidden season was never punishment, it was preservation. God shielded you from premature exposure because the world was not yet ready for what you carried. The divine process is often mistaken for delay, but it is in truth a strategy. Hiddenness refines. It strips away the craving for validation and replaces it with intimacy. When you could not be seen by others, you were seen by God. When you were silent, heaven was taking notes. Now, the covering is lifting. The anointing that was once invisible will begin to manifest through your words, your presence, and your very atmosphere. People will ask, "Where have you been?" They will not understand that while they saw absence, heaven saw preparation. Every quiet night, every private prayer, every unseen act of faithfulness was shaping the authority that now flows through you. The delay you feared was actually a shield against destruction. God was ensuring that when He revealed you, you would not crumble under the weight of visibility. Chosen one, this unveiling will not be subtle. Divine recognition does not whisper, it announces. But be careful. Visibility attracts both favor and opposition. The same eyes that celebrate you will also scrutinize you. This is why God built you in silence first, so that when noise comes, it cannot shake your foundation. You have learned to hear heaven's voice in the quiet, and that skill will sustain you in the chaos of recognition. The temptation in this new season will be to explain yourself, to justify your calling, to prove your worth. Resist that urge. The proof is not in your defense, it is in your results. The fruit will speak. The anointing will testify. The same God who brought you out of obscurity will sustain your reputation. Do not chase the approval of men when you already have the endorsement of heaven. You will notice that doors begin to open, not because of your striving, but because of divine timing. People you never met will mention your name in rooms you have never entered. Favor will precede your arrival. This is not manipulation or coincidence, it is God's orchestration. The hidden season built integrity, the revealing season requires trust. Do not rush to step through every door that opens. Not all open doors are assignments, some are distractions. Discernment will be your greatest ally now. Remember the rhythm of heaven, every unveiling is followed by a test. The test is not to expose weakness, but to strengthen stewardship. God reveals you not just to elevate you, but to use you. You are a vessel for divine influence, not a monument for human applause. Stay humble, stay teachable. The grace that carried you in silence will carry you in the spotlight. There is beauty in the transition. You will start to see how every season fits perfectly together, the pain that shaped your compassion, the rejection that strengthened your discernment, the waiting that deepened your faith. What once felt random now makes sense in divine symmetry. The mosaic of your journey glows with purpose. Heaven does not waste seasons. What was done in the dark was preparation for the light. You may feel the pressure of exposure, but it is not to crush you, it is to crown you. The more you align with God's timing, the more natural your authority will feel. You no longer have to force influence, it will flow through you effortlessly. The world is about to witness the visible proof of your invisible growth. Your confidence will not come from pride, but from presence, the awareness that God walks with you. When you enter a space, heaven enters with you. That awareness will keep you grounded while carrying great power. You are a manifestation of divine faithfulness, a living testimony that hidden seasons are not wasted seasons. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 6, "Your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly." That reward is not merely material, it is spiritual visibility. It is influence that carries eternal weight. The spotlight that once terrified you will now serve as your pulpit. You are emerging not as a celebrity, but as a vessel of glory. And when people finally see you, when they begin to acknowledge the grace you carry, let them see God through you. Let humility remain your crown and gratitude your garment. The unveiling of a chosen one is not for applause, it is for impact. Your light will not only shine, it will ignite others. The wind rises, chosen one. The storm that once terrified you now stands before your command. Heaven has entrusted you with authority over tempests, not the kind that rage in the sky, but the ones that roar in your soul. the ones that shake households, friendships, nations. You have been taught not only to survive storms, but to silence them. When others panic at the thunder, you remember who walks beside you in the boat. You see storms reveal alignment. When Jesus slept through the storm, his peace was not ignorance, it was authority. That same authority now rests within you. You no longer cry for rescue, you become the calm. You do not beg for peace, you release it. Your voice, once trembling, now carries a sacred command. Peace, be still. The moment those words leave your lips, unseen forces bow to them. The wind recognizes the echo of its creator. The storm is not your enemy, it is your classroom. Through its roar, you learn to recognize your own sound. You learn that faith is not found in the absence of fear, but in your decision to speak truth louder than panic. Every storm you endure becomes a sermon to the atmosphere, a declaration that God still reigns. And when peace finally settles, you realize something profound: storms never destroy what is anchored in the divine. Think back, chosen one, to the nights when waves of doubt tried to drown your faith. You remember the heaviness, the confusion, the questions that kept circling like vultures in your mind. Yet here you are, still standing, stronger, quieter, sharper. The very waves that threatened to swallow you became the steps that lifted you higher. God didn't stop the storm immediately because he was training your authority. He wanted you to learn not to fear thunder, but to command it. Now, when new storms form, your spirit doesn't shake. You've seen this pattern before. You know what it means when chaos rises. It's a signal that promotion is near. The enemy doesn't fight the unthreatening. The greater your authority, the greater the resistance, but also the greater the reward. Sometimes peace doesn't come with silence, it comes with perspective. When you stop asking, "Why is this happening?" and start declaring, "God is with me in it," the whole atmosphere changes. When the storm begins to obey your peace, you carry heaven's stillness within you. And when you walk into chaos, that stillness spreads. Heaven speaks again through the sacred texts in Mark, chapter 4, verse 39. He arose and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. That calm, chosen one, now belongs to you. It is your inheritance. It is the evidence that storms no longer dictate your destiny. You are learning to rule from within. And now, hear this with tenderness: your peace has power beyond yourself. When others watch you stand calm in crisis, they will draw strength from your stillness. You become a living lighthouse, a quiet flame on a dark coast. Ships that are lost will find direction by your light. That is why your peace is sacred. It's not only for you, it's for those navigating storms of their own. If these words find you in a storm right now, take a deep breath. Feel heaven drawing close. You are not forgotten. Every gust of wind is still under divine control. And maybe, just maybe, this message is your lifeline tossed into turbulent waters. If this message steadies your heart, if it speaks peace to your waves, then share it like a spark you pass to another soul shivering in the dark. When you like, share, or subscribe, it isn't about numbers, it's about echoing peace into more lives. Every interaction becomes a ripple that reaches someone else's storm. And if your spirit feels stirred to donate, do it as planting a seed of calm in the world's chaos. Every gift, no matter how small, becomes a piece of bread cast upon the water's bread that always returns, multiplied in peace and provision. It's like lighting a candle in 1,000 windows. You never know which traveler will find their way by its glow. Your generosity doesn't just sustain words, it sustains waves of comfort flowing through unseen hearts. It keeps the flame alive so that the next weary soul, scrolling in the night, might hear peace. Be still, and finally believe it so. Let your support, your sharing, your giving, your engagement be your way of saying to the world, the storm can end here. Each act becomes a whisper of calm spreading across seas of anxiety. You are no longer a passenger in life's storms. You are the voice that commands them into peace. Stand tall, chosen one. Speak peace where there is panic. Shine calm where there is chaos. You are no longer tossed by the waves, you are the one they obey. The air feels different now. Chosen one. You walk into rooms and everything seems to realign. The atmosphere bends to the authority you carry. Heaven has placed a new mantle upon your shoulders. One woven not with fabric, but with fire, faith, and favor. You feel its weight in your spirit. It is both beautiful and heavy. For this is not a garment of comfort, it is a robe of responsibility. The mantle of dominion is not a trophy to display, it is armor to wear. It does not make you greater than others, it makes you accountable for more. It calls you to step into spaces where darkness once reigned and shift them into light. It invites you to see beyond what eyes can see, to speak what has not yet manifested, to bring heaven's order into earth's chaos. You are now a carrier of divine influence. People will feel peace in your presence, even if they cannot explain why. Environments that once drained you will now be subdued by the authority you release. You don't even have to speak for things to change. Sometimes your silence will carry more weight than your words. That's what happens when heaven clothes you with dominion. You stop reacting, and you start governing. This mantle is a visible sign in the unseen world. Angels recognize it, demons fear it. It shines in dimensions beyond human sight. Wherever you go, the atmosphere declares, a representative of the kingdom has arrived. The authority is not something you wear temporarily, it becomes part of your being, as natural as breath. But remember, every mantle comes with a cost. It cannot rest on pride. It cannot coexist with bitterness. It only clings to those who remain surrendered. The moment you try to use it for personal glory, it grows heavy, suffocating, and cold. But when you stay humble, it moves with you like wind, effortless, powerful, alive. This mantle also requires movement. Stagnation dulls its glow, that you must keep walking, keep speaking, keep serving. The power of dominion is not found in stillness, but in stewardship. When you obey heaven's small instructions, the weight of authority grows lighter. When you resist, it presses on your shoulders like a warning, reminding you that authority without obedience is rebellion in disguise. You will soon notice that what once overwhelmed you now submits easily. Situations that used to consume your energy will dissolve before your words. That's what happens when God clothes a soul in dominion. The same hands that once trembled now bless with confidence. The same lips that once begged now decree with faith. And though this mantle is spiritual, its effects will be visible. Your presence will start to draw divine alignment. Opportunities, favor, resources, they will flow naturally, not as rewards for striving, but as recognition of divine order. Heaven always funds what it authorizes. You no longer chase provision. Provision now finds you. There will be moments when you feel the weight of leadership pressing against your chest. You'll sense the responsibility that comes with carrying heaven's authority. When that happens, remember this truth: you are not carrying it alone. The Spirit of the Lord rests upon you, empowering you to fulfill every assignment with grace and power. It is written in the sacred words of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 1. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives. That scripture is not just a verse, it's your calling. It defines the mantle resting upon your shoulders. You are no longer just a believer. You are an anointed messenger. You are no longer just surviving. You are releasing freedom into the atmosphere. Every step you take leaves a divine imprint. Every word you speak builds a bridge between heaven and earth. And when you begin to doubt your worthiness, look back on your journey. Remember the refining fire, the hidden years, the storms you've silenced. Each of them prepared you to wear what you now carry. Authority is never given without purpose. You have been chosen to enforce heaven's will on earth, to walk boldly yet gently, to lead without lording, to command without arrogance. The mantle of dominion is more than a spiritual promotion. It is a partnership with God. You move when He moves. You speak when He speaks. You rest when He says rest. And in every moment, heaven's power flows through your obedience. Chosen one, your season of testing has become a season of authority. Walk covered, not uncovered. Move as one clothed in light. The world may not see the mantle, but the heavens do, and that's what matters most. Now, as a prophetic act of agreement, comment the number 444 below. It represents divine stability, 4 corners of the earth, 4 winds of heaven, and the unshakable foundation God has laid beneath your feet. When you type it, you declare, my authority is anchored in divine order. Let the heavens witness your agreement. The mantle has been placed. The dominion is yours. When darkness recognizes you, chosen one, it does not see your face, it sees your light. In the spiritual realm, light speaks louder than language. Your presence alone announces, authority has arrived. That is why the atmosphere around you sometimes shifts when you walk into a place. It is not imagination, it is recognition. The same forces that once tormented you now tremble before you. They remember the fire that burned them when you prayed. They recall the authority that silenced them when you spoke the name of Jesus. This is the mystery of divine elevation before humans applaud you. Darkness identifies you. Hell often knows who you are long before people do. It's why certain attacks seemed relentless, why some people suddenly turned cold, why confusion swirled without explanation. The enemy saw what you couldn't yet see, the mantle of dominion that was forming upon your spirit. He sensed your rise and tried to strike early, but the attacks that came to destroy you only trained your hands for war. Every hardship became a weapon. Every wound became wisdom. Now the tables have turned. You no longer run from darkness, it runs from you. The fear that once crippled you is gone, replaced by calm authority. You have become a walking contradiction to the enemy's expectations. They expected your breakdown. They are now witnessing your breakthrough. When you wake, hell trembles. When you pray, chains fall. When you simply stand, heaven stands with you. There is something sacred about being recognized by the unseen. It confirms that your growth is real. Darkness does not waste effort on the unthreatening. It targets the rising ones, the chosen ones, those whose obedience alters atmospheres. So when pressure increases, when spiritual tension grows, do not mistake it for punishment. It is proof of impact. The enemy would not resist what he does not fear. You carry an authority that cannot be imitated because it was not bought, it was birthed through surrender. You learn to trust God in valleys where others gave up. You learn to praise when you had no reason to. That kind of faith cannot be faked, it is forged. The light that surrounds you is not decorative, it is defensive. It shields, exposes, and guides all at once. That is why the enemy's lies no longer stick to you, they burn upon contact with your truth. But understand, this recognition does not mean exemption. The enemy will still attempt distraction. He cannot defeat you, so he tries to divert you. He'll whisper through comparison, through busyness, through the opinions of others. He'll try to convince you to step out of alignment, because he knows that authority only flows through obedience. Yet, you are wiser now. You recognize his tactics not with fear, but with discernment. You answer with silence, not panic. Silence is your new sword, calm, precise, devastating to chaos. You are learning that not every battle requires engagement. Sometimes victory is found in stillness. The mature warrior knows that unnecessary fights waste divine energy. When you discern that an attack is only a distraction, you withdraw your attention and it loses power. Your focus has become your fortress. The moment you fix your gaze on God, the enemy loses his grip. We are reminded through the words written in Acts, chapter 19, verse 15. Jesus I know and Paul I know, but who are you? That line echoes through eternity as a reminder that spiritual authority cannot be faked. Titles do not move the unseen, intimacy does. The darkness recognized Jesus because he walked in pure authority. It recognized Paul because he walked in delegated authority. And now, it recognizes you because you walk in proven authority, tested, refined, and real. Chosen one, the fear of darkness ends here. You have nothing left to prove to shadows. Let them watch, but do not respond. Let them surround, but do not flinch. Your silence will confuse them more than your shouting ever did. For you carry the same presence that filled the temple, the same spirit that raised Christ from the dead. That is the reason your light terrifies them. It is not borrowed light. It is indwelling fire. The world may not understand the weight you carry, but the unseen world does. When you pray, heaven listens. When you decree, earth shifts. When you walk, hell retreats. You have crossed from survival to sovereignty. You are no longer asking for deliverance, you are delivering others. Carry yourself with quiet confidence. For the light you bear is not for decoration, but for war. You do not need to shout to prove your strength. The battlefield of the Spirit respects stillness more than volume. The calmest warrior often carries the deadliest power. So keep walking, radiant one. Do not shrink your flame to make others comfortable. The darkness recognized you for a reason, because you are a threat to it. You don't belong to the night anymore. You command the dawn, and wherever you go, shadows must bow, because the chosen one has entered the room. The silence around you deepens. Chosen one. It is not emptiness, it is power gathering. You begin to notice something strange about your words. They do not vanish when spoken. They travel, they build, they command. This is what happens when heaven gives weight to a voice. The sound that leaves your lips no longer carries mere opinion, it carries decree. You have crossed from asking to declaring, from wishing to establishing. In earlier seasons, you prayed and hoped. You waited for signs, confirmations, or permission. But now, your words move differently. Heaven has trained your tongue to carry authority. You are beginning to understand that the voice is not a tool, it is a throne. From it, you govern unseen territories. When you speak in alignment with divine will, creation responds. You are no longer echoing faith, you are expressing heaven's intention. This is why silence has become sacred. You are learning to speak less but mean more. Heaven only amplifies what carries truth. Idle words fall flat, but decrees born from revelation travel far. You used to think power came from speaking loudly. Now you know it comes from speaking rightly. The weight of authority is not measured in sound, it is measured in surrender. Your voice, chosen one, is no longer yours alone. it is shared. Heaven breathes through it. Every declaration becomes a bridge between what is promised and what is possible. You will see that when your lips move in obedience, the unseen aligns instantly. The spiritual realm respects divine articulation. Angels respond to clarity, not confusion. They obey certainty, not emotion. That is why heaven is refining your language to make your words sharp, pure, and consistent with divine law. You must learn the art of measured speech. The world is full of noise, but you have been chosen to carry sound. Sound changes things. Noise distracts. When God speaks through you, even the simplest sentence can break centuries of bondage. You may not feel worthy of such power, but authority is not about worthiness, it is about willingness. Heaven does not choose perfect vessels. It chooses surrendered ones. There will be moments when you sense a stirring before you speak a divine pause. It is the Spirit weighing your words before they leave your lips. In those pauses, heaven decides what will carry power. Trust those moments. They are sacred negotiations between your breath and eternity. When you release a word in alignment with heaven, time bends to it. Circumstances rearrange, people shift, events synchronize. You will witness answers manifest with supernatural speed. It will feel as though creation was waiting for your voice to unlock it. That is because your words now carry the sound of your assignment. Each syllable carries spiritual DNA codes written by God Himself. This is not a gift to be handled carelessly. Authority without restraint becomes destruction. You must learn to use your voice as a scalpel, not a sword to cut with precision, not to wound with passion. A single careless statement can derail destinies, but a single prophetic word can resurrect hope. That is why heaven trained you through silence first. It taught you the value of each word before granting you the power to shape worlds with them. We are reminded through the wisdom in Job, chapter 22, verse 28. You will also decree a thing, and it will be established for you, and light will shine on your ways. This verse is not metaphorical, it is mechanical. It reveals how heaven operates through human agreement. You decree, and heaven establishes. You speak, and light responds. The universe is designed to obey divine articulation, and now your voice participates in that creation. But remember, the power of decree is balanced by the humility of listening. Authority grows in those who still kneel. Never allow familiarity with power to dull reverence. The same mouth that commands must also confess, not my will, but yours. The moment humility departs, authority collapses. Heaven cannot trust the proud with its sound. There is also discipline in divine speech. You cannot declare breakthrough for others while cursing your own process. Your words must align with your destiny, not contradict it. Speak life even when you feel surrounded by death. Declare hope when your emotions whisper despair. Every time you choose faith-filled speech, you strengthen the connection between your heart and heaven's throne. Your voice is your weapon, your bridge, your ministry. Guard it, train it, fill it with truth. When you speak, do so knowing that angels listen, demons retreat, and heaven records. You are no longer part of the noise, you are part of the symphony of divine order. Speak, chosen one, not as a beggar but as a builder. Speak not from pain but from purpose. Speak not to be heard, but to create. Let your words become anchors in the storm, seeds in the desert, torches in the night. For your voice is not ordinary, it is the sound of heaven finding expression through you. Chosen one, the flame inside you does not rest. It flickers and grows, pushing through layers of old pain, reaching for a purer air. This is the purging fire within the stage of refinement that comes after elevation. You have walked through storms and shadows, but this fire is different. It doesn't come from outside forces, it comes from heaven's own hand upon your soul. You are being purified from the inside out, prepared for the kind of authority that cannot be corrupted. The higher the calling, the deeper the cleansing. God never increases power without first increasing purity. It is not punishment, it is preparation. Every flicker of discomfort, every mirror that shows what you didn't want to see, is a mercy disguised as fire. It is heaven saying, you are too valuable to carry contamination into the next dimension. This inner burning feels different from attack. The attacks of the enemy come with chaos and fear, but the fire of God comes with peace in the pain. It hurts, yes, but it also heals. It removes what you thought you needed and reveals what was holy all along. It exposes your motives, strips away false humility and leaves only truth. You may find yourself weeping for reasons you can't name, feeling detached from old desires or restless in familiar spaces. That's how you know purification has begun. Do not resist it. Resistance delays transformation. The fire will touch everything you thought was safe, your habits, your attachments, even your prayers. It will test what is built on faith and what is built on fear. Every hidden corner of your heart must be offered up to the flame, for only what survives the fire can carry the fullness of God's glory. You will start to notice that your discernment sharpens. You'll sense spiritual shifts before they happen. You'll feel when something is off, when a word carries mixture, or when a room needs cleansing. This is not oversensitivity, it is purification training your perception. The purer your vessel, the clearer your hearing. Heaven's voice becomes distinct once the noise within you burns away. You are learning to let go not because you've lost faith, but because faith now defines what stays. Certain friendships, ambitions, and thought patterns will no longer align. The fire will demand separation, not for superiority but for clarity. God cannot send a smoky signal through an unclear heart. He wants his message to come through you, bright and unfiltered. We are reminded through the words written in Malachi, chapter 3, verse 3. He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. He will purify the Levites and refine them like gold. That scripture paints your current reality. The refiner does not abandon the fire. He watches, waits, and works until he can see his reflection in the silver. The process is not meant to destroy, but to reveal. The same flame that melts away impurity also reveals divine likeness. That is why the heat has increased, not because you are far from God, but because you are close. When the refining is complete, you will notice peace like never before. Your thoughts will align easily with truth. Temptations that once entangled you will lose their power. The fire will have burned away your dependence on feelings and replaced it with faith. You will find joy in simplicity, contentment in obedience, and purpose in purity. This is what true maturity looks like, not performance, but presence, still. Be gentle with yourself. Refinement is not a moment, it's a process. There will be days you feel the heat more intensely, moments you question your progress. But even then, the fire does not fade. It is constant because God is constant. Each stage leaves you brighter, cleaner, stronger. The same flame that hurts you today will empower you tomorrow. Remember, pure gold fears no fire. It endures because it knows what it is made of, and so do you. You were never fragile, you were simply unrefined. The fire proves your strength, it does not create it. So, when you feel the weight of transformation pressing heavily on your soul, lift your eyes and whisper, "Refine me, Lord." You are not being punished, you are being perfected. The light within you is being prepared to carry the next wave of glory. The fire will not consume you, it will crown you. When the process is done, your life will radiate the unmistakable shine of heaven's craftsmanship. Those who once doubted your calling will see the purity of what you've become, and even darkness will acknowledge the glow that cannot be dimmed. Comment, burn it all. Now write it as a declaration, not of destruction, but of surrender. When you type those words, you are saying, "Take everything that hinders, Lord. Leave only what is holy." It becomes an offering, a confession, and a covenant. Heaven reads your words as incense rising from your heart. The fire answers only those who consent to it, and your consent invites transformation that no man can reverse. The atmosphere tightens around you. Chosen one. The moment of stillness between battles has passed. You can sense it, the stirring, the testing, the silent roar that precedes confrontation. Every promotion in the spirit invites a new level of opposition. But this time, the battle feels different. You no longer tremble before darkness. You stand clothed in power. You have learned that authority does not exempt you from warfare. It simply changes your role in it. This is the battle of recognition. The forces of darkness have realized who you are. You are not hidden anymore. Every attack now comes not from your weakness, but from your strength. The enemy has studied your victories and knows you are dangerous. But what he forgets is that heaven has studied him too, and has already armed you accordingly. Do not fear the intensity of this season. The shaking you feel is not collapse, it is calibration. God is aligning your faith for demonstration. You will soon see victories that will feel surreal, answers that will arrive faster than expected, doors that will open as if pushed by invisible hands. But first, you must stand your ground. The enemy often approaches quietly like a whisper in the dark. He will use discouragement, comparison, exhaustion, tools of subtle erosion. But you have something stronger now, perspective. You understand that not every storm is personal. Some storms are proof that you're plundering enemy territory. The greater the interference, the greater the impact you're making. You are not fighting for victory, you are fighting from it. You are standing in what has already been won. The cross is your guarantee, not your gamble. That's why fear cannot stick to you anymore. Fear loses oxygen where faith stands firm. Heaven's reminder comes through the sacred words of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. That verse is not wishful comfort, it is divine legislation. Weapons may form, but they cannot finish. Attacks may rise, but they cannot reign. You are not a victim of war. You are a victor enforcing the covenant. When you speak, heaven responds. When you stand, angels surround. When you move, darkness retreats. Still, every warrior needs rest. Even soldiers of light must pause to sharpen their swords. Do not neglect stillness in your pursuit of victory. Rest is not weakness, it is strategy. The oak tree grows not in constant motion, but in seasons of deep stillness. Rest is where your strength roots deeper into divine soil. And chosen one, while you fight your battles with faith, remember that this message, these words that reach your heart exist because others have stood in obedience to keep them flowing. This space, this well of encouragement, is like a small lighthouse built in the storm. It shines because hearts like yours have kept its flame alive. If these words strengthen you, if they pour calm into your chaos, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Not as routine clicks, but as spiritual echoes. Every share becomes a torch passed to another soul stumbling through darkness. Every subscription is like placing another brick in this sanctuary of light, ensuring that weary travelers will find their way to hope. And if your spirit feels stirred to donate, Let it be like casting a seed into good soil. Your generosity is not a transaction, it's transformation. Every offering, no matter how small, becomes the oil that keeps the lamp burning. It is the unseen act that sustains the seen miracles. Think of it as water poured onto the roots of a tree that shades many. The fruit may not return to your hand immediately, but it will return multiplied in peace, provision, and purpose. What you give today fuels tomorrow's message. It builds a bridge for the next chosen one who needs a voice to remind them they're not forgotten. Your support becomes part of their rescue. That is the holy circle of divine partnership, one heart giving, another healed. You stand now as both warrior and witness. Every word you share, every act of support becomes part of your worship. You are not just consuming light, you are sustaining it. The same God who multiplies loaves multiplies impact. What leaves your hand never leaves your life. It simply returns in a different form. So continue standing in authority, fighting with peace, and giving with joy. You are not alone in this battle. Heaven is your ally, the angels your army, and faith your fortress. And when the darkness tests you again, and it will remember this truth, you do not need to roar to prove your strength. Simply stand and let the light speak for you. For the battle is not yours to finish, it is yours to witness. And victory is already written in your name. Chosen one, the wilderness has never been an easy place. It strips away comfort, exposes motives, and tests the depth of your faith. But what others call isolation, heaven calls instruction. You have entered the season of authority in the wilderness, a time when your power is not displayed in crowds but proven in silence. It is here, surrounded by stillness and scarcity, that you learn what true dominion really means. The wilderness is not a punishment, it is a proving ground. God leads his chosen there to remove dependence on noise and replace it with intimacy. In cities, people listen to applause. In deserts, they learn to hear God. There are no distractions here, no stage, no audience, only presence. And in that presence, authority matures. You are not being forgotten. You are being fortified. Every chosen vessel faces this wilderness. Moses walked it for 40 years. David hid there from Saul. Even Jesus was led there by the Spirit. Why? Because the wilderness exposes counterfeit strength. When there is no applause to fuel you, you find what truly sustains you. You realize that your authority cannot rely on visibility. It must be rooted in faith alone. At first, the silence feels heavy. You long for confirmation, for movement, for proof that heaven still remembers you. Yet, it is in this silence that heaven whispers its clearest instructions. God has not gone quiet. He has simply changed his volume. The wilderness trains your ears to discern that new frequency. It teaches you to find direction in stillness, to sense guidance in peace rather than noise. This is also the place where your voice gains weight. When you speak here without audience, without echo, heaven hears it as truth. There are no pretenses in the wilderness, only raw honesty. Your prayers in this place carry unusual power because they come from vulnerability, not performance. It is not the length of your words that moves heaven, it is their authenticity. You may look around and see little fruit, little progress, little movement. But make no mistake, roots are growing. The deeper your roots in the wilderness, the higher your influence after it. This place is not the end, it is preparation for expansion. When you emerge, you will not only carry authority, you will carry substance. In the wilderness, you learn to live by revelation, not routine. You begin to see that lack does not define limitation. Even here, Provision flows from unexpected sources. Manna falls where there is no bakery. Water bursts from rocks that look lifeless. This is the paradox of the wilderness. Emptiness becomes evidence of God's nearness. You do not find abundance by escaping the wilderness. You discover it within it. Every discomfort has meaning. The hunger sharpens your hunger for righteousness. The loneliness reveals who truly stands with you. The silence teaches you the difference between God's absence and His mystery. You realize He has been speaking through the sand all along, through timing, through delay, through the steady rhythm of your breath. The wilderness teaches humility better than any throne. When you emerge from it, you will no longer crave validation. You will crave impact. The applause of man will no longer distract you, because you have learned to be satisfied with the approval of heaven. That satisfaction is power. A person who needs nothing from the world becomes unstoppable by it. Heaven reminds you again through the sacred words of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. That verse is not metaphorical, it is literal in your life. God is creating new paths through the dry places, channels of grace through hardened ground. You will soon find refreshment where you expected ruin. Rivers are already beginning to flow beneath your feet, and when you emerge, you will carry something those who skip the wilderness never will: depth. You will speak with authority born from endurance. People will hear truth in your voice because they can sense the cost behind it. The wilderness will have burned away every trace of superficiality, leaving only authenticity and fire. So do not despise this lonely season. It is the divine classroom of champions. Every whisper you hear here will guide you when the noise returns. Every tear shed here will become oil for your next assignment. The wilderness is where God builds generals, those who can lead not by charisma, but by conviction. When you walk out of this place, you will not just survive, you will carry the scent of heaven. The wilderness will have rewritten your spiritual DNA. You will emerge not as one who escaped the trial, but as one who conquered it. Hold your head high, even here. Every grain of sand testifies that you are being shaped, not forgotten. And soon, when the first river breaks through this desert, you will realize this was never about the wilderness. It was always about what the wilderness was building inside you. Chosen one. The air feels charged again, alive with divine intention. You sense movement in the invisible realm, as though unseen locks are turning and long-closed gates are beginning to open. This is the moment heaven begins to entrust you with the keys of the kingdom. The sound you hear is not imagination. It is access being granted. Doors that once mocked you with silence will soon swing wide, not because you forced them, but because you finally learned to wait for the right key. For years you knocked, sometimes desperately, wondering why nothing opened. Heaven wasn't ignoring you, it was protecting timing. A key given too soon can destroy the door it's meant to open. Now, after endurance, after refining, after surrender, the Master places them into your hand. They are not metal, they are revelation, obedience, and discernment. Each key unlocks a specific realm. One opens peace, another opens provision, another favor. The greatest among them opens understanding, that rare light that allows you to see patterns others overlook. These are not prizes, but responsibilities. Heaven never hands out toys, it entrusts tools. You are now trusted to handle access that others may misuse. Authority with keys means partnership. God does not open the doors for you. He invites you to turn them with Him. Every act of faith becomes a twist of that key. When you speak what He says, when you obey the quiet promptings, you feel the click of alignment. Suddenly, What resisted you begins to yield. This is also the season where you learn that some keys don't open because they were never yours to use. Maturity teaches restraint. Not every opportunity requires entry. Not every invitation carries destiny. Some doors shine brightly only to distract. Heaven gives discernment to know when a door is divine or deceptive. Chosen one. Never forget, keys are symbols of stewardship, not status. They don't make you superior, they make you accountable. Every time you unlock something, heaven watches what you do with it. Access without integrity leads to collapse. But when you move with humility, every key in your hand multiplies. God adds more to those who handle few faithfully. Imagine this: a massive hallway filled with countless doors. Behind each one is a purpose waiting to be awakened. You walk slowly, the keys glimmering in your hand. You stop, you listen, and the Spirit whispers which door to turn. As you obey, the lock releases with a sound that echoes through eternity. On the other side lies someone's answer, someone's healing, someone's future. That's the power of divine access. You don't open doors for yourself. You open them for others. Heaven reminds us through the words written in Matthew, chapter 16, verse 19. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. This is not poetry, it is law. Binding and loosing are the mechanics of authority. What you forbid in faith becomes forbidden in the unseen. What you release in obedience becomes released across dimensions. The power of those keys is activated not by strength, but by surrender. They respond to humility faster than to shouting. You will soon find that the keys also unlock hearts. When you speak truth wrapped in grace, hardened souls will soften. When you forgive instead of retaliate, chains will break. When you pray for your enemies, you unlock compassion in places you never expected. The kingdom's keys are forged in love, not pride. There will come a time when you stand before doors that seem too heavy, locks that seem too ancient. Do not panic. Some doors require songs instead of strength. Worship itself becomes a key. When words fail, praise succeeds. The melody of surrender can open what logic never could. As you move through this new authority, keep one key close above all, the key of gratitude. It ensures that what opens stays open. Gratitude oils the hinges of destiny. Without it, doors may creak and close again. Gratitude keeps you aware that every opportunity is grace, not entitlement. You now carry the power to alter trajectories. A single prayer can change bloodlines. A single word can redirect generations. That is why God waited until now. You have matured enough to handle the weight of opening and closing. Heaven trusts you because you learned not to move without Him. So walk carefully but confidently. The sound of locks turning is heaven's applause. Each door that yields to your touch testifies that divine partnership is active and alive within you. And now, as a prophetic declaration of agreement, comment the number 55MOV5 below. It represents divine change and grace multiplied 555 for triple favor. When you type it, you're saying, I receive the keys. I will use them wisely. It is not superstition. It is symbolism, a visible act mirroring an invisible truth. Chosen one, the doors are waiting. Take the keys, turn them in faith, and watch the impossible open before your very eyes. There is a quiet majesty surrounding you now. Chosen one, something inside your spirit recognizes that you no longer walk merely on the ground, you walk among thrones. You have been lifted, seated, and positioned in realms not seen by mortal eyes. The authority you carry no longer functions from reaction but from dominion. You do not respond to darkness, you oversee it. You have been invited into a reality where heaven's governance becomes your perspective. This revelation changes everything. You begin to understand that your battles were never just personal, they were territorial. Each victory you won was not only for you, but for those attached to your destiny. The enemy fought so hard because your obedience shifts whole regions of influence. What you bind in prayer ripples through families, cities, and nations. You are not fighting from the ground up anymore, you are ruling from the throne down. Seated with Christ does not mean escaping reality, it means interpreting it correctly. You no longer see through fear, but through authority. You no longer ask, "Why is this happening to me?" but instead, "What is heaven revealing through this?" Every challenge becomes a canvas for divine expression. Every limitation becomes a stage for glory. From this seat, perspective replaces panic. You finally understand what it means to reign in spirit. You are not the same person who once begged for breakthrough. The posture of a ruler now defines you: steady hands, steady heart. The anxiety that once consumed you cannot exist in this altitude. The air here is thinner but purer. Few walk here because few surrender deeply enough to be trusted with such view. But you have, and heaven honors it. The realm of thrones is a realm of insight. Here, heaven allows you to see beyond the visible, a kind of prophetic perception that reveals patterns others miss. You begin to discern movements before they manifest, decisions before they are spoken, atmospheres before they change. This is not suspicion, it is divine intelligence. Heaven trusts you with secrets because it knows you will not use them for control but for intercession. At this level, authority expresses itself differently. You no longer shout for proof. Your presence itself becomes evidence. Peace radiates as protection. Calm becomes command. Your footsteps shift the atmosphere not because of who you are, but because of who you carry. When you enter a space, the unseen recognizes the weight of heaven's government upon you. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. The throne you share with Christ is a place of service, not superiority. We are reminded through the sacred words of Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 6. And God raised us up with Christ and seated us with him in the heavenly realms in Christ Jesus. That is your current reality, not a metaphor, but a position. You are not begging heaven to descend. Heaven has already seated you within itself. Every decree you make echoes from that elevated place. When you pray, you do not shout upward, you speak outward. You are already in communion with the King. From here, intercession changes shape. You begin to pray less for personal comfort and more for divine order. You realize that true authority is not about avoiding storms, it's about commanding calm in the middle of them. You pray not to escape the world, but to align it with heaven's rhythm. Your petitions sound less like pleas and more like proclamations. You've become a voice of divine government on earth. But remember, thrones demand responsibility. Rulership without humility becomes tyranny. The higher you ascend, the deeper you must bow. Authority must always be anchored in awe. Never forget that every throne in heaven faces only one direction, toward the Lamb. You are not enthroned apart from him. You are enthroned in him. The crown you carry is his glory resting upon you. Chosen one. Walking among thrones does not separate you from people, it prepares you to serve them better. The closer you are to heaven's heart, the more compassion you carry for earth's wounds. True kingship is not domination, it is intercession. You are sent to rule through mercy, to lead through example, to influence through love. So walk with quiet strength, speak with measured grace. Govern your world not as one who owns it, but as one entrusted to steward it. Every action, every prayer, Every word you release from this place carries the fragrance of the throne room. The realm you stand in is not fantasy, it is your inheritance. You are a ruler trained in humility, a warrior clothed in peace, a vessel through whom heaven's authority finds expression. And as you walk among thrones, never forget your crown is not for display. It is for service. The one who kneels lowest in love reigns highest in power. Chosen one, as you walk further in this new dimension, something begins to shift around you. The air thickens not with burden, but with blessing. Heaven begins to respond tangibly to your obedience. Where you once saw drought, you now see dew. Where doors once remained locked, favor now flows freely. This is the realm of the commanded blessing. It is not a random wind of luck or a fleeting season of success. It is heaven's intentional endorsement upon your life. You are beginning to experience what happens when alignment meets anointing. Everything you touch begins to bear fruit, not because of effort, but because of order. God's blessing is not a wish, it's a command. When He speaks, creation listens. The ground itself begins to respond to His voice through you. The same soil that once resisted your seed now accelerates its growth. You don't have to push or prove anymore. Heaven has already spoken on your behalf. This is the quiet miracle of walking in divine rhythm. You start to realize that favor is not found through striving, but through standing. When your spirit is rightly aligned with His will, blessing becomes effortless. You move less, yet accomplish more. You speak fewer words, yet see greater results. The grace that once felt distant now hovers near, obeying divine instruction to prosper you. The commanded blessing is not loud. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or applause. It seeps in like morning light, gentle but undeniable. One day, you simply look around and realize that everything once broken is now functioning. Everything once delayed is now advancing. Everything once barren is now blooming. You don't even remember when it shifted, you just know it did. This kind of favor cannot be manufactured, it cannot be copied or faked. It is not charisma or charm, it is covenant. God's word has marked you, and creation must comply. When the commanded blessing rests on a life, resistance becomes irrelevant. Even the things that were meant to harm you end up helping you. What others lose through crisis, you gain through consistency. You will notice that the blessing doesn't only touch your hands, it begins to surround your atmosphere. People near you will start to prosper simply because of proximity. Peace will radiate from you like sunlight, warming everything it touches. Those who bless you will find themselves blessed. Those who stand against you will find their plans dissolve without explanation. This is not revenge. It is the reflection of divine order. The blessing defends its bearer. But the commanded blessing also carries responsibility. You must guard it carefully. Pride is its greatest thief, and complacency its silent killer. Never forget that favor flows to those who remain grateful. Gratitude keeps the gates open, entitlement closes them. The more you thank God for what flows through you, the more He trusts you with greater streams. The moment you begin to boast as if the river belonged to you, it dries. This blessing does not mean a life without difficulty. The difference now is that even difficulty works for you. What once drained you will now refine you. What once delayed you will now direct you. Every challenge becomes fertilizer for fruitfulness. This is what it means when Scripture says all things work together for good. It is not poetic optimism. It is divine logistics. Heaven speaks clearly through the words of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 8. The Lord will command the blessing on you in your storehouses and in all to which you set your hand. and he will bless you in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. Notice, it says command. That means the blessing does not request permission. It enforces purpose. God himself orders creation to cooperate with your destiny. The winds shift, opportunities align, and timing obeys. You become a walking decree of divine order. The commanded blessing will often feel subtle. It will not always announce itself with grandeur, yet its evidence is impossible to hide. Peace becomes your constant companion. Resources flow when needed, never late, never early. Connections form organically, guided by unseen orchestration. You'll find yourself in the right place at the right time, saying the right words to the right people. That's not coincidence, it's covenant. And yet, the truest proof of the commanded blessing is not material, it's spiritual. It's the calm in your soul, the joy that doesn't depend on circumstance, the unshakable knowing that God is with you. You no longer chase signs of blessing, you become one. Wherever you step, heaven recognizes its own scent upon you. Chosen one, this is what you were designed for, to live as evidence of divine order on earth. You are the intersection of promise and presence, a walking testimony that obedience invites abundance. Your life itself becomes a sermon that preaches without words. God is faithful. So let's walk softly through this abundance. Let your gratitude guard your gates. Let humility anchor your harvest. The commanded blessing is not a finish line, it is a flow. Stay in it, and it will stay in you. The air grows heavy again. Chosen one, not with fear, but with the final test before your full unveiling. Every rise of divine authority brings a final confrontation. It is not punishment, it is permission. Heaven allows darkness one last attempt, not to destroy you, but to prove you. This is the battle that reveals what the previous seasons have built. The last shaking before stability. The last echo before victory. You can feel the resistance tightening, like a storm gathering at the edge of the sea. It's familiar now, the pattern of warfare. You've learned not to panic when the wind howls because you recognize it as confirmation that something powerful is near. But this time, the enemy doesn't attack from the outside. He whispers from the shadows within, hoping to resurrect old fears, to remind you of old wounds, to convince you that you are still who you were. Yet even as he speaks, your spirit rises in defiance. The authority of your new identity cannot be reversed. This final confrontation is not about who wins, it's about who stands. You have already won. Heaven decided that long ago. The test is to see if you remember it. The enemy cannot undo what God has sealed, so he tries to make you forget it. His strategy is amnesia, making you forget who you are, whose you are, and how far you've come. But your memory is your weapon. Every scar tells a story of survival. Every wound now healed is proof that grace never failed. In this moment, remember what you carry. You are not fighting for your crown, you are fighting to keep your focus. The greatest battles now are not fought with fists or words, they're fought in stillness, in prayer, in worship. When the storm screams, your silence becomes warfare. Your peace becomes your defense. Heaven's reminder comes again through the ancient words of James, chapter 4, verse 7. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. It sounds simple, but it is profound. Resistance is not running, it is standing. To resist is to remain unmoved, unshaken, unbroken. It is to keep worshiping when you have every reason to weep. It is to keep loving when betrayal bruises your heart. It is to keep believing when evidence argues against faith. That is true resistance. And as you stand, you will notice something holy. Heaven fights with you. Angels draw near. The wind that once opposed you begins to shift in your favor. You are no longer merely surviving attacks. You are reversing them. The very forces that came to drown you become the waves that lift your boat higher. Chosen one, as you step into this final test, I want to speak to your human heart as much as to your spirit. These messages, the words that find you in quiet rooms, on long nights, through screens glowing softly, are not random. They are bridges built by obedience, supported by those who believe in light over darkness. Every time you listen, every time you share, you help keep this light burning. If this message steadies you, if you feel your heart calm or your faith stir, consider liking, sharing, or subscribing. These simple acts are not vanity, they are vessels. When you share light, it travels farther than you imagine. Someone in their own final battle may hear your echo of faith and find the courage to stand. You may never meet them, but heaven will record your kindness. And if your spirit feels moved to donate, do it not as a transaction, but as participation. Imagine it as pouring oil into a lamp that flickers but never goes out. That light may be the only one some weary soul sees tonight. Every seed you sow becomes a spark of hope traveling through invisible roads, reaching places you may never touch, but heaven always measures. Your generosity is like water carried by unseen streams. It reaches valleys that sunlight cannot. The words you help sustain are not mine. They belong to the one who still speaks to his chosen through the language of grace. Together, we keep that language alive. And as you read these words, let them soak into your spirit. You are not standing alone. Thousands unseen are standing too. Warriors of light scattered across the world, resisting darkness together with peace, not panic with faith, not fear. Before this battle ends, and it will end, remember the lesson of this journey. Authority is not proven by victory, but by endurance. You endure because you know the outcome has already been written. So stand tall, chosen one. The storm may roar, but your peace is louder. The darkness may surround, but your light is greater. You are not the same as before. This is your final test, and heaven has already written your name among the conquerors. If these words touch something deep within you, if you feel the resonance of heaven, then take a quiet moment and write in the comments, "I will stand." Those 3 words are not casual, they are covenant. They declare that no matter the weight, you will not bow to fear. You will not yield to darkness. You will stand until light fully breaks the horizon. And when it does, the world will see what heaven has long known. Your victory was never in question. Chosen one, after the final confrontation, there is a strange silence, the kind that hums with relief and awe. The battle that once roared now lies behind you like a fading storm. The sky above your soul begins to clear, revealing the radiant light that was hidden all along. You are standing in the aftermath of victory, and heaven crowns you in that light. This is not a crown of gold or jewels. It is the visible shimmer of divine presence, the quiet glow that surrounds those who have endured. It cannot be seen by every eye, but the spirit world recognizes it instantly. It is honor from heaven, not applause from men. The same angels who watched you fight now stand rejoicing, for the assignment has been fulfilled. You have been crowned in light. That light does not merely rest on you, it flows through you. It fills your speech with wisdom, your actions with grace, your presence with peace. You no longer move as someone searching for validation. You move as someone who embodies it. The approval of heaven has become your identity. This light is not decoration, it is function. It serves a purpose. It turns you into a lighthouse for others still lost in their storms. You are no longer only a recipient of revelation. You are a reflection of it. People will feel comfort near you without knowing why. They will sense hope return when you speak. That is the power of light. It doesn't argue with darkness, it simply shines and darkness retreats. But light, chosen one, also reveals. It shows what was hidden, both around you and within you. The crown you wear is a mirror. It reflects the divine nature, but also reveals the truth. As the light grows brighter, it exposes anything that does not belong in its presence. That is why humility must remain your garment. The crown is heavy for the proud, but weightless for the humble. Crowning is not the end of your journey. It is the transformation of your purpose. You were once a student of warfare, learning how to endure. Now you are a carrier of wisdom, called to guide others through what once wounded you. The crown does not grant superiority, it grants responsibility, and it calls you to lift, to teach, to love. You will notice that everything around you begins to respond differently. Creation itself recognizes crowned ones. Nature feels it. Time bends around it. Circumstances begin to cooperate instead of conflict. Doors that were once locked no longer require knocking, they open automatically, as though the light itself carries the key. The crown signals completion, and completion commands recognition. Heaven reminds us through the ancient voice in Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Those words are not poetic comfort. They are divine command. They call you out of hiding. You cannot carry this light and remain invisible. The season of obscurity has expired. Now, the light must be displayed. The world doesn't need perfection, it needs illumination. Your scars have become lanterns, your story a torch. Through every battle, God was not just saving you. He was shaping you into a beacon. And yet, do not mistake visibility for vanity. The light does not belong to you. It passes through you. You are a vessel, not a source. Like the moon reflecting the sun, your brilliance depends on your position. Stay close to the source, and you will shine effortlessly. Drift from him, and even the brightest glow will fade. Intimacy keeps your crown polished. You will find that your light attracts two kinds of people, those who seek warmth and those who seek to extinguish it. Do not fear either. The warmth seekers will remind you of purpose. The extinguishers will remind you of protection. Light is always tested by darkness, not to be dimmed but to be proven unbreakable. Your radiance now serves as both weapon and witness. It burns away deception, but it also draws the wounded. That dual purpose defines the mature chosen one. You do not fight merely to win. You fight to heal. You are not here to dominate. You are here to illuminate. And though the journey ahead will still hold valleys and storms, you will never again face them as before. You will walk as light clothed in flesh. You will speak as one who has touched eternity. You will love with the gentleness of one who knows the cost of redemption. The crown you wear is not fragile. It was forged in fire, cooled by tears, and sealed with glory. Nothing on earth can remove it. Nothing in hell can replicate it. It is your seal of victory, your symbol of service, your invitation to shine. So walk boldly but gently. Lead others not with commands, but with compassion. Let your presence be a calm reminder that God still raises light from ashes. And whenever you forget your worth, touch your invisible crown and remember it is not made of gold. It is made of grace. You are crowned in light, chosen one, and the world will never be the same because of it. Chosen one, this is the moment where your journey expands beyond your own life. You stand on the edge of something vast, something global, something sacred. You have been refined, empowered, and crowned not for isolation, but for influence. Heaven now whispers the final command into your spirit: go forth, for you are commissioned for nations. This calling does not require a passport or a platform. It begins wherever your feet touch. The presence that once carried you through private storms will now carry you into public purpose. The anointing that broke chains within you is now meant to break chains around you. You are no longer a student of faith, you are a carrier of it. Wherever you go, the kingdom travels. This commissioning is not a ceremony, it is a release. Heaven no longer keeps you hidden in preparation. The training is complete. You are ready to step into the role of Ambassador, one who represents heaven's agenda on earth. You do not carry opinion. You carry instruction. You do not carry fear. You carry authority. You walk not in arrogance but in assurance, knowing that your presence now shifts environments. There will be moments when the weight of responsibility feels heavy. Nations, after all, are not only geographical, they are spiritual. Every sphere of influence you touch, families, workplaces, communities, is a nation in miniature, each with its own culture, wounds, and language. You are sent into them not to dominate, but to transform. You are heaven's diplomat of mercy, sent to negotiate peace between hearts and eternity. You will begin to notice divine intersections, encounters that feel casual but carry eternal consequence. A stranger will ask a question that opens the door for truth. A child will look at you and feel hope for the first time. A leader will cross your path seeking wisdom you didn't know you had. That's how the kingdom expands, not through noise, but through connection. Every encounter becomes a seed, every conversation a bridge. This new phase of authority demands consistency. The same humility that carried you through fire must now carry you through influence. The same obedience that sustained you in obscurity must now sustain you in visibility. Fame in the spirit does not look like human fame. It looks like servanthood. The greater the reach, the greater the call to kneel. You are not sent to impress the world, you are sent to impact it. True influence does not shout, it resonates. It moves through acts of kindness, through words seasoned with grace, through a life that glows even in darkness. Nations will feel your presence long before they know your name. That is how heaven moves quietly, deeply, permanently. Heaven reminds us through the timeless words written in Matthew chapter 28, verse 19. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. That is not merely instruction, it is inheritance. When you were chosen to carry the kingdom outward. This is not a call reserved for pulpits or preachers. It is the mission of every soul who carries divine light. Your words, your work, your worship, all of it becomes the language of heaven in foreign lands. Do not fear the scope of your calling. You are not required to know every step. Nations are not reached by strategies, they are reached by obedience. The Spirit will lead you one assignment at a time, one heart at a time. Sometimes you will travel. Other times your words will travel for you. A prayer whispered in your room tonight may echo across oceans tomorrow. That is how the kingdom multiplies through faith released into the wind. You are part of a tapestry far greater than yourself. Every act of love, every moment of obedience, every quiet yes becomes a thread that ties heaven to earth. You may never see the full picture, but heaven weaves your obedience into destinies you will meet only in eternity. As you go forth, remember this: authority without compassion becomes tyranny, and revelation without relationship becomes noise. You are sent not to conquer, but to reconcile. You are heaven's bridge between divinity and humanity, carrying the fragrance of grace wherever you walk. The nations you touch may never know your name, but they will know His through your life. Every act of kindness, every moment of faith, every word of truth spoken in love will plant eternity into human hearts. That is your mission, your mantle, your ministry. Walk boldly into this new horizon. The earth waits for the manifestation of those who know who they are. And you, chosen one, know, you are not walking alone. Heaven walks with you, angels surround you, and the Spirit goes before you. Let your steps become sermons. Let your presence become proof that God still speaks, still heals, still reigns. Nations will shift, hearts will open, and the world will remember that light once again touched earth through you. Chosen one, you have reached the end of this journey, but truly, it is the beginning. What began as whispers from heaven has now become revelation alive within you. You have walked through fire, silence, warfare, and light. And now you stand not as a listener, but as a carrier. The words that once spoke to you now speak through you. The world you step back into will look the same, but you will not. You have been reshaped by divine truth. Your voice carries weight. Your steps release peace, and your obedience carries the fragrance of heaven. You are living evidence that God still anoints, still calls, and still transforms ordinary vessels into extraordinary instruments. Before you close this page, pause. Feel what stirs in your heart. That pull you sense is not emotion, it is calling. Heaven invites you to keep the flame alive. When you like, share, and subscribe, you are not simply interacting, you are extending light. Every act of engagement becomes a ripple that reaches another weary soul scrolling in the dark. Another chosen one searching for confirmation that they are not forgotten. If these words have touched your spirit, comment below and let your voice be heard among the others walking this same path. Your testimony might be the confirmation someone else is praying for tonight. And as you share, do it gently, not as promotion, but as participation. You are joining heaven's echo, helping this divine sound reach further, lifting hearts you may never meet, but whose lives will never be the same. Carry this truth into every sunrise, your light, you are chosen. And the story God is writing through you has only just begun.